Hello again, everybody. I'm Evan Massoud. Thanks for tuning in to the weekly FREDTV Sports Report here on Channel 9. This week, it's all about golf. Recently, over at the Allendale Country Club in Dartmouth, the annual Hilltopper Golf Classic was held despite it being cold, rainy, and windy, a day that brought us a taste of fall, in fact. The Classic is a major fundraiser for the Durfee Hilltopper Athletic Foundation. Founded back in 2010, the DHAF is a direct funding channel for Durfee sports. Knowing that city funding is usually stretched thin, President of the Foundation, Carol Fiola, felt something like this was needed to ensure that Durfee athletes have the same opportunities as every other athlete in the state.
We ask the coaches every year to submit their wish list of items along with quotes and from companies that have these equipment, have the equipment, and we evaluate that, and based on the funds that we have available, and as long as those requests meet our mission, we're able to provide those dollars.
This year we're going to give about $18,000 in various athletic equipment that will go directly to the kids, to help them out. In the last 6 years, the golf tournament has raised over $50,000 for the Athletic Foundation.
That was Bob Hargraves, the golf committee chairman. He and treasurer Melissa Panchley are both on the board of directors for the foundation. Melissa explains that one of the best things about the Golf Classic is that it also serves as a reunion for former athletes, even recent ones.
One graduated from Durfee this year, and one a couple of years ago. They were on the golf team, baseball team. So it's really exciting when you see the 18, 19, 20-year-olds come back to support the kids that are still in school. And so we have the older generation. We have 70 and 80-year-olds that went to Durfee and that still support this. And it's really great to see the 18-year-olds and that age group still supporting Durfee athletics.
And as you can see, the weather really was less than ideal, but the golfers persevered through the swampy course. Now, be sure to stay with FREDTV this fall when the thread returns to Tuesday evenings, because we'll have a follow-up story on some of the new equipment that the foundation will purchase for Durfee sports this year. Now, before we get to our final story, here's a quick update from Fribble Baseball, because there were no games this week. The playoffs are about to start, so we did not cover any games this week because the playoffs start this weekend. So here's a look at the standings as it turned out. The teams wrapped up the regular season Thursday evening with the Royals essentially ousting the Twins from the playoffs, handing them an 11-10 loss. The Twins came in tied in terms of winning percentage with the Rockies and needed that W to clinch a playoff berth, but were unsuccessful. The Royals and the Braves will square off in the semis, which means for the first time in 3 seasons, it won't be those two teams in the finals. The semis are a best-of-3 series, and it kicks off this weekend. We'll have highlights of this heavyweight battle on next Friday's show. It should be a great series. Now, last but not least, we're going to head downtown to Government Center, where the Creative Arts Network, formerly known as AHA Fall River, held Putting Around Town in conjunction with students from Diamond Regional who designed the mini golf course. Like many of the events that Sandy and Dave Dennis coordinate, there's always a twist, as this wasn't just your everyday mini golf course.
The idea was that each hole would represent or would be built in the relative size of each neighborhood, and then they would come and they would put up a little information about their neighborhood, something historic, either a historic building or some general information about what made their neighborhood special. And the idea is that people become familiar with the neighborhoods around the city and play a little golf. It's about bringing people into the center of the city. It's about education. It's about arts. It's about history. It's about architecture, and it's about engaging people in historical things about the city of Fall River, what's important about our city, and getting people excited about living and working in the city of Fall River.
Marquise Texera was downtown with his son when they stumbled upon the event, and they were happy they did. Marquise is not originally from Fall River, but he has an appreciation for the history of this old mill town.
Saw about the plans for Cook Pond, little Highland stuff over there, and some more monument stuff, so it is pretty cool that the city's doing some things free like this every once in a while. I heard Fall River has a very interesting history. I'm not originally from Fall River, so I'm learning it as I'm living here, but it's one of those coastal Bristol County towns that has full of history.
Now, while I did not grow up in the Flint, a hole that stood out for me was the Flint neighborhood hole because it had the night owl as the theme. That old diner was a childhood favorite of mine before it closed many years ago at the corner of Pleasant Street and Eastern Avenue. To find out more about upcoming events, visit www.creativeartsnetwork.org. And that's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks for tuning in. As always, next week, back to Chew Park for Fribble Playoffs. Should be a lot of fun. So be sure to tune in Friday at 7:30. Until then, Evan Massoud coming to you from Durfee High School. Have a great weekend.